Everyone remembers the heavyweights of Dexter, the Trinity Killer, the Ice Truck Killer, and Miguel Prado. But what about those lesser-known villains who lurked in the shadows, only to challenge Dexter in uniquely unexpected ways? These are the underrated side villains who left an undeniable mark on the show's legacy. Let's dive deep into their stories, the specific chaos they caused, and the unforgettable challenges they posed for Dexter. Let's start with Zoe Krueger from Season 4's episode, Dex Takes a Holiday. Zoe, a patrol officer, looked like the perfect suburban mom with a badge. But under that facade, she was a cold-blooded killer who murdered her husband and daughter in their home, shooting them point blank to escape a life she saw as mundane. Zoe's crimes are particularly chilling because of the methodical way she covered her tracks. She planted false evidence to frame an innocent man and walked away completely untouched by the system she was sworn to protect. It's this level of manipulation that catches Dexter's attention. Their first meeting at the shooting range is a masterclass in tension. Zoe casually mentions her freedom and even flirts with Dexter's darker instincts, unknowingly speaking to the monster she's sitting next to. The way she sizes him up, offering to share their mutual secret of guilt-free killing, is one of the few times Dexter meets someone who understands his duality, at least on the surface. But it's Zoe's arrogance that ultimately leads to her downfall. In a desperate attempt to frame Dexter, she breaks into his home, thinking she can manipulate the situation to her advantage. As she plants evidence and carefully stages the scene, she's completely unaware that Dexter is watching, always 2 steps ahead. When he finally reveals himself, the atmosphere shifts. Zoe's confidence crumbles as Dexter exposes her schemes with an unnerving calm. Her smugness gives way to panic, and in that moment, Zoe realizes she's no longer in control. She's the one trapped in Dexter's world. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's dive back in. Then there's Stan Liddy from Season 5. Liddy starts off as a disgraced narcotics detective trying to claw his way back into the force. When Quinn hires him to investigate Dexter, it seems like a simple job, but Liddy's curiosity turns into a personal vendetta. Remember that scene where Liddy installs a hidden camera in Dexter's van, watching Dexter dump suspicious black garbage bags into the ocean? That moment isn't just nerve-wracking for the audience. It's one of the rare times Dexter is genuinely vulnerable. Liddy's persistence makes him a terrifying foe, not because of brute strength or a body count, but because of how close he gets to the truth. The climax of Liddy's arc, when he kidnaps Dexter and traps him in the back of a surveillance van, is incredibly intense. With Liddy waving Dexter's own tools of the trade in his face, a syringe of M99 and duct tape, it's almost poetic. But in true Dexter fashion, he turns the situation around, taking Liddy down in a desperate, bloody fight. Liddy's death isn't as calculated as Dexter's usual kills, and that messiness highlights just how close Dexter was to losing everything. Ray Speltzer, the Minotaur killer from Season 7, is one of the most physically imposing villains Dexter faces. Introduced in the episode Run, Speltzer lures his victims into a maze he's constructed inside an abandoned building, forcing them to navigate it while he hunts them down wearing a bull's helmet. The scene where Speltzer forces a terrified woman to run through the maze, banging a gong as he stalks her, is pure nightmare fuel. His kill room isn't about precision or efficiency, it's about sadistic dominance. When Dexter faces Speltzer, it's not just a battle of wits, but a test of survival. Speltzer's raw physical strength pushes Dexter to his limits, especially during their first encounter, when Dexter barely escapes with his life. But Dexter doesn't let it end there. In one of the most cathartic moments of the season, he traps Speltzer in a cremation chamber, finally putting an end to the monster in a blaze of poetic justice. Valerie Castillo from Season 1's episode, Love American Style, may have only appeared briefly, but her crimes left a lasting impact. She and her husband Jorge ran an organ trafficking ring, luring immigrants to their mansion under the pretense of helping them find work. Once inside, these people were drugged, butchered, and sold for parts. One of the most haunting scenes is when Dexter discovers their operation, photos of their victims, the blood-stained equipment in the garage. For Dexter, who operates by a strict code, code. The Castillos represent everything he despises, killers without purpose or principle. When Dexter confronts Valerie, she tries to justify their actions, claiming they were providing a service, but her calm demeanor as she admits to their atrocities only cements her villainy. Dexter's swift, methodical takedown of the Castillos is a reminder that even in his world of controlled chaos, there are some who are irredeemably evil. Little Chino, a ruthless enforcer in Season 2, might not be one of Dexter's most prominent villains, but his role highlights Dexter's internal conflict. As a cold-blooded gangster, Chino represents the chaotic violence Dexter fears he could become, offering a stark contrast to Dexter's calculated nature. His unpredictability makes him a dangerous and unsettling figure for Dexter, forcing him to face a part of himself that he's worked hard to control. Dexter's hesitation to kill Chino goes deeper than just the threat he poses. Chino's impulsive, senseless violence triggers memories of Brian Moser, Dexter's brother, whose chaotic and uncontrollable actions were a constant source of pain for Dexter. Brian's death left Dexter with unresolved grief and a fear of becoming like him, a killer without a purpose or code. Chino's lack of restraint brings those fears to the surface, making the decision to kill him a struggle. Ultimately, Dexter's fight with Chino isn't just about survival, it's about confronting the darker aspects of his own nature. The emotional weight of Brian's death clouds Dexter's ability to act swiftly, as he is reminded of the man he could have been. Killing Chino represents not just eliminating a threat, but also dealing with the trauma of his past and reaffirming the control Dexter has over his own dark urges. Finally, we have Santos Jimenez. While his screen time in Season 2's episode Morning Comes is brief, his role in Dexter's backstory makes him unforgettable. Jimenez was one of the men who murdered Dexter's mother, Laura Moser, in a shipping container, a pivotal event that shaped Dexter's dark passenger. When Dexter tracks Jimenez to a bar in Naples, it's not just about following the code, it's deeply personal. The tension is palpable as Dexter tries to control his rage, while Jimenez, oblivious to who he's talking to, mocks the very crime that ruined Dexter's life. Dexter's eventual kill isn't as clean as usual. The raw emotion in the scene, Dexter's trembling hands, the way he nearly loses control, is a rare glimpse into the pain that drives him. Jimenez's death is cathartic, but it also serves as a reminder that Dexter's past will always haunt him. Each of these villains brought something unique to Dexter's story. They weren't just obstacles, they were reflections of Dexter's darkest fears and desires. From Zoe Krueger's manipulation to Ray Speltzer's primal brutality, these characters pushed Dexter to his limits in ways that were as memorable as they were terrifying. So, who do you think is the most underrated villain in Dexter? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the world of Miami's favorite blood spatter analyst.